All right.
All right, we're ready, I guess.
Boring,
Let me
right?
sit down.
I'd like to call into order the Downtown Development Authority Special Board Meeting and Workshop Wednesday, April
Stand
10th,
up.
2024, starting at 2:30 p.m. Today we'll be combining a special meeting and workshop agenda. Can I get a roll call, please?
Rick Burgess,
Here.
Vera Woodson,
Present.
Christina Goldbach, Mark Denkler,
Here.
Brian Rosen,
Here.
Cole Davids,
Here.
Aaron Burton.
Here.
All right, moving on to the approval of the special meeting agenda. May I please get a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve.
Any opposed? All right, second, moves forward. Can I get a vote on that, a roll call, please?
Aaron Burton,
Yes.
Cole Davids,
Yes.
Brian Rosen,
Yes.
Mark Denkler,
Yes.
Christina Goldbach,
Yes.
Vera Woodson.
This is, I have a question, just for the special meeting agenda, or is this for the
This is just,
former board agenda too? Because I had a correction to the minutes from the last meeting.
Well, that's on number 4.
Thank you, that's what I needed to know. Appreciate you. Yes,
Rick Burgess,
Yes.
there we go.
all right. Moving on to the public comments and our partner reports. I don't know, do we have any partners here that want to come up and provide any information? If not, I know this is a short meeting in this regard, so any public comments?
Mavis Benson, 800 Greenswood Court, merchant and resident. Let me remind you once again how the DDA board works. You are appointed by the City Commission. Then as a board, you strive to work as a good partner with all other boards and with the city. Contrary to what some may believe, the Commission is not your boss. Your bosses are all of the property owners within the DDA taxing district. So your job is to listen to and work together with the merchants and residents, those of whom make up your $1 million+ budget. Now I want you to know we're having a merchant meeting Wednesday the 17th, 9 o'clock at the courtyard, and I invite everyone to attend. Again, I remind you, as I remind the merchants, the DDA is there to facilitate, since a major part of the DDA's mission is to advocate for the downtown businesses. That being said, the merchants do not have to agree with the DDA's position and vice versa. If that is the situation, conversation and feedback is vital in coming up with a solution or compromise. The team shares what they are doing and what the merchants can do to benefit their businesses. If the merchants have concerns or issues they would like to discuss, that takes precedence. The DDA team is there to listen and offer suggestions, which they bring to you and to the City Commission. That is the way it has with success worked for the 20 years that I've been there. Excuse me. And the organization has been in existence for 30+ years. So, thank you very much. Thank you for what you're doing. I have to get back to work, but I will be listening on my earbuds while I'm hopefully selling pieces of glass.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Ron Platt. I would hope that since the election just a few weeks ago or a month ago, that maybe the direction and maybe the attitude of the board changes. You see me at a lot of meetings. I sit in the back, and I sit in the back, and I see a lot of people texting, doing that a lot, and people being absent, and I also can't understand how some people voted or wrote bad evaluations for Laura. I just think she's doing a wonderful job. Everybody's entitled to your opinion. If you want to give her a 0 or 100, I think she's close to 100. I mean, I don't know where some people come up with 0s and 1s. I mean, is that, an attitude thing? Is that a, mad at something, or you came into the DDA with that with that already in your mind, and it's just, speaking my mind here, I'm permitted to, and maybe I'm going out of line, but like I said, I've been to a lot of the meetings, and I just hope after the election, maybe things change a little bit, and attitudes change a little bit, and becomes, in my mind, a little more professional. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Seeing no other public comment, move forward with the approval of the March 11, 2024 minutes. Any changes?
Oh, sorry. I had a typo on page 4 that I've already alerted Liliana. The very last one, no report of, and it should be report.
Anything else?
I had a correction as well. There was a statement that I made that was incomplete.
Can you put your
I'm sorry,
microphone
yes,
on? Sorry.
I'm sorry. There was a statement that I made that was incomplete when I, right here on page 3, I believe, Ms. Vera Woodson comments that she is in line with Mr. Dankler's concerns. She adds that Rick Burgess has the right to be heard regarding the issues of the application, but if there's an issue with his application that needs to be addressed, it should be comma, that they were directed then to the commission, not to, they added a period, so it didn't look like it completed the statement that I made.
Any other changes? May I get a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Roll call? Actually, before we
Burgess.
do that, do I have to get amended? Do I have
Yes, you need to
approve-
motion
Yeah,
with amended.
can I get a motion to approve the amended minutes for
Motion
the
to approve
discussion?
as amended.
Second.
Roll call.
Rick Burgess,
Yes.
Vera Woodson,
Yes.
Christina Godbout,
Yes.
Mark Dankler,
Yes.
Brian Rosen,
Yes.
Cole Davids,
Yes.
Aaron Halliburton.
Yes.
All right, moving on to approve all of the March financials. May I please get a motion from the board?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Roll call.
Aaron Halliburton,
Yes.
Cole David,
Yes.
Brian Rosen,
Yes.
Mark Dankler,
Yes.
Christina Godbout,
Yes.
Vera Woodson,
Yes.
Rick Burgess.
Yes.
All right, at this point, I'd like to adjourn the special meeting and either, I don't know if I have to click the gavel.
We have to
then-
have
all
a
right,
motion.
Let's
We have
make
to
a
have-
motion.
Yeah, motion to adjourn.
All right,
Second?
roll call, please.
Or
Rick Burgess,
Yes.
Vera Woodson,
Yes.
Christina Godbout,
Yes.
Mark Dankler,
yes.
Brian Rosen,
Yes.
Cole Davids,
Yes.
Aaron Halliburton.
Yes.
All right, calling the special meeting to adjournment. Thank you. Now, moving on to the DDA workshop meeting. Do a little call to order. April 10th DDA workshop meeting. May I get a roll call?
Aaron Halliburton,
Yes.
Cole Davids,
Yes.
Brian Rosen,
Yes.
Mark Dankler,
Yes.
Christina Godbout,
Yes.
Vera Woodson, Rick Burgess.
Yes.
Oh, starting at 2:39 p.m. Thank you. All right, first on the DDA agenda is our staff's going to give us a little bit of a breakdown of kind of the DDA's history and a little bit of the strategic plan as well.
Thank
So
you.
towards 2030, we're looking at.
Right. Thank you. Good afternoon, Board. Laura Simon, Director. Wanted to just give you all, take some time today to really bring things back. As we're here, it's April, and we're starting our session for planning for next year, as well as really just do some kind of a little bit of a regroup and give you all a little sense of just some history, bring us back together. I think just over the past several months, just us really wanted to get a little bit more of alignment and to really the DDA's focus and our history and our vision going forward. Recently, at the City Commission's first meeting, it was announced that they would be really going through a new visioning and strategic planning, which is fantastic for our city. And our downtown has been through, we did a strategic planning session with our constituents and stakeholders back in 2016, 17, and we have that plan in place now. However, we're at a very different time, and this being that we have such a new and involving district, as well as a new involving board, it would be really a great time for us to move into a strategic planning process. I believe we talked about that back in July, but really putting that in place and in motion. So wanted just to go through, just reminding the board just who we are and what we're doing. Again, created in 1971 as the Downtown Development Authority District. We were a much smaller district at the time, and that was done to create a independent district that would be able to govern, create its own rules, and really govern over the downtown on behalf of the property owners. Funded by a 1 mil tax assessed, levied on those properties, and reinvested back into the organization to reinvest back into downtown. And that's what we do, continue to do today. It was voted, it had to go to the polls, and it was expanded twice after that. 93, we expanded the beach side district into the downtown, and then in 98, we expanded west of Swinton, which also includes Southwest and Northwest 5th Avenue. Can you go back one? Just also just on there, oh yeah, I already said all that. Thank you. So also wanted just to bring out from our statute the duties of the DDA. So this is a very high level. This is in our governing statute and breaks down what our powers and our duties are as an organization, which helps guide what we do in a tactical manner for the downtown district. We analysis and planning and and analyze the economic conditions and changes in the downtown, including growth, traffic, parking, etc. Planning, we do planning for long-range plans, short-range plans, but this is really planning around and creating plans for our community in partnership with our stakeholders and on behalf of our stakeholders, and also in partnership with the city. Recommending, we are a recommending body, as you know, to our commission and our community on behalf of the downtown. And implementation, actively participate in implementation and execution of downtown development plans, but this shall not give the DDA any power over the city property unless assigned to it by the City Commission. Economic development, participation in programs and encourage economic development and promotion of the downtown, which is a huge part of what we do and what our responsibilities are, as you can see by the programs that we do. And then other functions. This is public projects related to the downtown area that the City Commission may assign to it with its consent. A great example is Old School Square management. That's what we're doing today. So with that, again, talking about our strategic plan and really putting this back to you all as a board, just to, if there's comments, conversation you want to discuss, but I really think that as our 2016-2020 strategic plan outlined our vision, which is the Downtown Development Authority is a model of credibility, professionalism, productivity, generating valued outcomes. And then our mission is that DDA stimulates, enhances, and sustains the economic vitality of the downtown Delray Beach and the quality of life enjoyed by locals and visitors. So those are our guiding principles that guide us as an organization, as our team, and really, as we put forward, very relevant today. And you just look to enhancing our strategic plan, involving our stakeholders, our partners, our community, to really create a sustainable organization and as we govern our downtown going forward for the next 10, 20 years. So with that, I wanted just to turn it back over to the board. And I know some of our board members and just some of the one-on-ones meetings that we had this week, really just in the past couple of weeks, just wanted to turn it over to you all to have discussion about this, about other things really around board governance and the organization before we go into our next topic.
I'd like to start.
Sure.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, Vera.
Yes, if you could go back, Susan, to the, where it says, recommending body, right there. The recommendation, the type is so small as I age. I just want to, from your standpoint, what does that look like as a recommending body? Because while you were speaking, I wrote down something, and I want to make sure that what I perceive or believe our recommendation process is, that it aligns with what the expectation is from your office.
So as a recommending organization, and as we've been for the years prior to me being with the DDA, and what I've learned is that our organization is looked to by the city as well as our stakeholders to provide recommendations to help guide all of growth, traffic, all of the things that we do here that affect downtown. The shopability study is a prime example of making those recommendations. Recommendations on a monthly basis when plans come before the board, and you are looking at it based on the downtown master plan, based on those plans, recommending from our organization and helping guiding development, redevelopment, ordinances, and really coming from the recommending from the stakeholders themselves and what's in the betterment for the betterment of our downtown district.
So phase 2 of that, what happens after we, as a board, recommend? What is your action beyond our recommendation?
As a consensus from the board, our recommendation is to help guide that through the process and report back as we go through that process.
Okay. I wrote down, once recommendation is made, we monitor and communicate to our merchants and stakeholders where appropriate. In
Correct.
sync.
Yes.
Thank you. Just wanted to clarify that for all of us so that we knew exactly what your take on what your responsibility is in terms of our voice to the larger body of the commission as the larger voice to the merchants and our stakeholders.
Right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else on this topic want to discuss anything? All right. Seeing no further discussion on this topic, I think we
I
move
just
on to
have-
Old School Square.
Well, I have a question just around strategic planning. Is everyone in consensus that that is a need for us to move forward? Because that is it is a lift, but it is timely, and it is important for us to do this as we go forward in our future. And it is where we would hire an outside consultant to help guide that, which we did in the past. I have all the records from our past strategic plan, which I did provide to the board. That was a probably 6-month process, which
You're talking about revamping this 2020 strategic plan going forward.
I think I will speak on behalf of myself. I think it's necessary. I appreciate you bringing it to the floor for discussion. Sure. And as I think our world has changed since the last plan drastically, and it's probably overdue. So I appreciate you bringing that forth.
So how does that work though? Is that you create a strategic plan, then it comes to us and we make tweaks to it, or is it?
we would engage a consultant as we did the first time around, who would bring forth the process to us to outline. Traditionally, it's a series of board engagement meetings, one-on-one meetings with our commission, stakeholders. They did focus group meetings in the past. It's really to get what feedback from all different parties to help about downtown, about the organization itself, and to then from there really outlining what those priorities are for us to move forward. Similar to that's really how the last strategic plan was, and you can see in there a lot of that plan has been implemented. And maybe it's just also looking at this and tweaking it, but it would not be us driving that. It would be an outside party to do that.
No, I mean I think that makes sense. It keeps us focused on what we want to be focused on, as opposed to
Chairman,
shot.
I have another question, because consultant is a trigger word for me, because I hate to spend money on things like that. I really do, because to me, you can walk outside. This is a 16 square mile city, and we just had the commission pay for a lofty study for the task force for tourism that I was on, and this has been over a year, and we're still not seeing results. So this is almost a 2-year process that we paid for to have something done.
Right.
So when this finally is done, working in partnership maybe with Palm Beach County, is there any information that we can glean from those things that we wouldn't have to hire someone and we can make our assessment amongst the professionals that are in this?
Well, I think that what it would help with, and this is not a new thing for, organizations such as the Downtown Development Authority. We have other organizations that we can reach out to capture different consultants that would help that, or strategic planning partners that would do that, whether it's an individual or actually a company that would do that. But there's that, having a third party do this takes us as individuals out of the picture, and it really gives a bigger picture focus of it, and really can help create that plan versus us as individuals, plus time. It is a lot of time that it will take to do something like that, and to do it right and to do it well. And I do believe that the downtown deserves that. So, and for our future, I'm not going to be here forever. Our team won't be. Whoever comes into this place now has a roadmap for the future, and that's what that is. And I do think that having a professional to do that, a facilitator, someone who can do that, would be beneficial for all.
And then what do you bring a scope of work and a couple different facilitators
Yes.
to us to
Yeah.
review and then make a decision later?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, I think the whole process, when you get you have to have an outside facilitator for it, because as she said, it's a 6-month process. Last time when we met over at the Courtyard Hotel, it was kind of our idea of what we thought the board is. We weren't getting, I don't remember if we had comments from people or not, but it was kind of our perceptions what to do. This is really going out to the stakeholders. So we go to the property owners, go to the restaurants, the businesses, ask them the questions, so they give us the direction. I saw I was on the 2016 thing, but it gives us a direction, and then it gives the chairman, okay, these are the priorities, everybody here. So this is what we have to follow, regardless of what our opinions are on things. So you do have to, unfortunately, pay for those things. And I've been through many of these, but they are, as Laura says, it's a roadmap for us. When I was chairman of a few different organizations, I took that report out, and when we had our board of directors meeting, that was my thing, to give the board an update where we were. So you as chairman or whoever, that would be their roadmap to go for what we do, because we think we know, just from being around and being downtown, but people have different opinions. Property owners want a certain thing, businesses don't, or go against their property owners. So we need to see, we have to jointly figure out what everybody wants to give us the roadmap of the future.
I think my concern was we have a commission that's about to do something similar. We've hired a consultant for tourism that's somewhere in between those two pieces that are already being paid for. Why are we now hiring another consultant to come out and talk about the same space that everybody's walking in order to give us what it is that we need? That's all. That's what I was thinking. So that was my
Who
rationale
paid for the
not
tourism
paying.
one? Do we remember?
The
who that
city.
was?
The city paid for the
yeah.
and it's still not. I mean,
No, I know,
they've
I know.
shown it, but we still
It's
have
just-
not implemented. But there's also now the commission is saying that they want to do something, so we're paying for something, and that's to me kind of double dipping on the taxpayer. So that's what I brought it forth for.
Yeah, good news is we'll see the numbers, we'll see what the scope of work is. We can trim down the scope of work if we want, to try to get it to be faster, turn around, and we'll figure it out. But I do think, in general, it's a good thing to do. I know, wearing my other hat, I look at the Osceola Park Master Plan all the time. I do a lot of work in that area, and that, they put a lot of work into that through taking all these stakeholders' temperatures and getting readings on what they want. And again, I just think it's a great tool. So, and again, whether the city's always using it or whether whoever, I just think they're good tools to have for, ourselves to use as roadmaps, as well as other people coming into the community that want to do business, that want to understand where we're trying to take things. So
Right.
that's just my take.
Great, and we'll use the plan that we have as part of the scope of work to review that and see and how we move forward, and the plans that we've done, so.
Yeah. All right.
But all of those, yeah, if I can just finish, all of those things like the shoppability and that thing that we did, and even just looking at the Placer AI numbers were very interesting about how many people were, 34 the tennis tournament, St. Patrick's, 68,000.
I know, right?
250,000 for, I forget what the other one was, but
Yeah.
that data, we used to always have to have store walking counts and things like that, but now we have that information. That's good. But kind of a comment that you said, Vera, it's interesting in reading the report again last week and then reading it today. They're the same issues. I mean, we talk about parking. Oh my gosh, traffic is so bad. People can't walk. The beautification of downtown. Some of the things will be the exact same thing because you can't fix all of those problems. I mean, we can fix it by destroying our town and not having traffic problems and parking problems, but I want to have those problems because it's a good place to be. So, but also it helps us. I mean, one of the reasons I wanted this meeting was because I felt that we had a disconnect as a board, that some of the meetings, I remember one meeting a while ago, I thought, oh wow, I'm going to be out of here by 1:15, and it ended till 3. It was way too long because we go off on tangents of things that are not what the question is. So, and then there's things that we can't do. I see Jeff over there. We complain a lot of things, but he's the one who runs Clean and Safe. So once again, we can make the recommendations to him, but we don't have the money in our budget for that. We could if we wanted to, but we have other priorities, and that's up to the city. So it's really defining what we as a board can control. I know that last year's board, oh my gosh, we're not getting the recognition. Well, I think we got too much recognition, and recognition for things that we weren't doing. So that was really part of what we wanted here, to get the board on to, what our responsibilities are, what we can control and what we can't control.
I think that was why I asked for clarification from the recommendation portion. I just wanted to make sure that we're all in alignment with what our scope is so that
Yeah.
we're not overstepping that invisible line of whose job is it.
Yeah.
So yes, I am in agreement with you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Because we had an experienced board, and now we had 4. You were kind of like 2 months into it, so we had a huge turnover, but we all need to learn what we can do and work together on that.
Great. Sir?
Okay, so moving forward, since I'm kind of confused, which is very easy for me. What is our role as a DDA in our relationship with the commission?
Your role as
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
board members?
Yep.
Your role as board members is to work with the commission and work with the city as an organization on behalf of what our scope of work is. Did you? What? Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry. Want to use your microphone? Duties?
Goes back to the recommending. That's really the main portion for the commission relationship with the board, so that you are the eyes in the downtown development district to see issues from the stakeholders that you see personally. You run it through this board, and there's a consensus on those issues and recommendations to be made. You would make it at that point, whether it's a specific application which come before you as you've seen, or whether it's something in general that you think may need improvement, like the discussions on the Clean and Safe that we've had with the assistant city manager, and so forth and so on. So that would be the role, I think, as far as the relationship with the commission. You are in a position to direct some things here within this district as a board, which relate to the criteria in the legislation that she went over a little earlier, some of the things that are required and some of the things that your focus is based on the creation of the district. So those are the things you should be focusing on.
So what does that mean? Like,
Advisory.
huh?
Advisory.
Advisory, right? But is there any specific type of role that we, like, do we work with the commission in any kind of way whatsoever? Or, like,
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to get explained.
No, I mean, I think, we are the Downtown Development Authority. So anything that happens in downtown, it would be ideal that the commission would reach out to the Downtown Development Authority and say, hey, this ordinance is coming before us. So they do bring it to us as a staff, but even before that, if there's something that they are thinking about changing, whether it's the Atlantic Avenue Historic Overlay District, right? Or that is something that is in discussion, and it has been. They do reach out. They will reach out. They would reach out to board members, but as a group, it's better as consensus, as us as an organization, to then advise or provide feedback from the board or consensus from the board as an organization. But it's meant as a partner of the city. However, there's things that happen in the downtown or that come from City Hall that might not, the stakeholders as a whole might not agree to. So that's where we try to find solutions together and what will work together. And it is about finding solutions together. While changes happen and things might not feel good to everyone, it's about looking at the big picture, right? And what will work and how we manage the downtown for the long term, not really just for the short term. So it's about we are a business or a downtown improvement district or an organization that really focuses that. We're hyper focused on the downtown while the city is focusing on the city. So having us as a team that can be a partner with the city to help guide them to do great work here.
So it's fair to say we're partners.
Yeah.
We're not our own entity.
Well, we are
we
our
are
own
our own
entity.
entity.
Okay.
We're partners. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't work for them. We work for our taxpayers, and many times we vote for something and they overrule us. We say
Right.
no and they say yes because they're looking for the good of the town, or we're looking only for our taxing district that we're the head of, and they might have this. As I said, the city has to go globally, and we're micro focused to the downtown, and the downtown might have different ideas.
Well, our area of responsibility is the reason why people come to Delray. So that's why I was asking that
Correct.
question.
Yeah. I mean, we're the diamond on the ring, right? So the downtown's the diamond on the ring. So
One of
if
the diamonds.
if the diamond drops out or the stone deteriorates, that's a problem for the whole city, for the whole ring. But it is about, we are the experts, right? When you look at, we are in it. You all, the property owners are here, business owners are in it. That's why they want the feedback. That's why it's important. There's some 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. There's more things that we probably know about this district, and that's why they exist, because there's more accountability of what happens here when you're actually operating the district. So that is why, there wasn't one before 1971, and things were happening without input, and that's why we were created, and that's the success that this organization's had over the years. So, any other questions or comments?
I have a simple question.
Yes, sir.
The consultant fee or the consulting group that the DDA would hire, is there a price associated with that, or in the past, what were the fees charged?
Anywhere from 5,000 to 10,000 are generally the numbers that we would see.
Because I was thinking in my head, if it's cheaper to actually employ someone for a year to gather all this information, it would be, but obviously you're not going to hire anyone for $5,000 or $10,000.
No.
But it was just a thought in my head.
No, we've just in the past it was a $5,000 fee.
That's
If
very
that,
inexpensive.
yeah.
Then. It's always good to have a third opinion also, the black, the white, and the gray areas. And I have one other question. I hear a lot that the DDA is a standalone entity, and I love and respect that. But with our commission, they vote on not just budgets or mill rates or project approvals or height and density issues. I think it's a little confusing for myself and others that I feel we are accountable to not only the business district taxpayers and the citizens and the people that come here, but there should also be accountability to the commissioners and the rest of city staff. And for some reason, it always has come up where, and multiple board members have said, hey, our best interest is for the downtown district, and we have created this economic engine to bring people here. But the flip side of it is, should we work with our commissioners if there's an issue, or go to them, or write emails or letters, or because the staff members' time sometimes is very limited. I could see that. I emailed you this week about it. Like, we'll talk about that later about visions. And my thing is, what can we do to make everyone's job easier? Because I hear we don't have to answer to the commission, but yet we go to the commission when we need something. So it's kind of a catch-22 for me, and I'd like some clarity on that.
So if I'll try to answer some of those questions. You had a few in there. The board is a dependent district of the city. So that's why the relationship is what it is, and you're not independent truly. You are appointed to this board by the commission for the specific purpose of following the guidelines set forth in the legislation that created the district. So in regards to your duties are to the Downtown Development Authority. And they count on you and your expertise and your knowledge of the city and specifically the downtown area to provide guidance on the different things that this organization does specifically. And then on top of that, what Laura was saying, the recommendation part of it, that items that have to be approved by the city commission where it's related to the downtown area, you all have a great influence on that because, like she said, you're here 24/7, 365 as a board and as a staff. These meetings where you're conferring with your colleagues, whether you're voting on something or whether you're coming to a consensus on any recommendation, that holds great weight at the commission meeting because that's the reason why you're here. That's the reason why this board exists, to provide that expert insight. That's a little bit more boutique than just a general commission seat, which has a different constituency, theoretically. I'm sure all the commissioners are very keenly involved in the downtown area, so I'm not suggesting that they're not, but you all are uniquely for the downtown period. There's no other area within the city that's your concern. So at the end of the day, you are a dependent board of the city commission, but you have the responsibility with your roles and duties to ensure that you are beholden to the downtown area and not necessarily the city commission. And as board member Dinkler said, sometimes you recommend some things and they turn it down. Sometimes you say no and they say yes. That's just a part of civic life. So it's something that, you have the responsibility to make sure that you do what you all think is best collectively for the downtown. And then if it requires city approval, then the chips will fall where they may. You looking at my socks? And if it doesn't,
I was like, now we gotta hold on.
Yeah, you gotta be tall to get there.
and if it doesn't, and it's something that the board can directly, then that'll be up to the collective wisdom of you all. So I'm not sure if I answered all your questions. I hope I answered one or two of them at least. Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. One, half of one.
Well, I think it's also when we get city plans that we have to look at. If you think about it, you look at who has to approve that. Okay, Historic Preservation Board has to do that. Well, they're only looking at the historic part. We could be against the historic part and we vote, well, we like this, we're going against that. But then the commissioners have the ultimate authority to change things. It could be against land development regulation, or maybe I don't want to get in the legal, but they could be the final say on a variance or something like that.
A mural.
Right.
Why not use a mural? That's always something people can get on.
If you look at the bottom of those sheets, there's always, it's gone to the CRA, it's gone to Historic Preservation, it's gone to whoever,
Right. Like when a mural comes up for us, just part of the discussion. We're not looking at if it's good or if we like the mural. That doesn't matter. What we're looking at is how it affects the downtown businesses.
Exactly.
Like, period. Like, no different colors, no, it's just, and that's why the city's been good enough, thanks Jeff, for putting together the sheet, or Lynn, or whoever gave it to us, where it's literally like the question, yes or no. So literally, and that's our privy on these different items. You just gotta,
Yeah.
keep in mind, depending on what the topic is, what we're looking at and what our responsibilities are.
And I'll just say that an example, like our team and just, the years that we're in it and seeing these plans and programs come together and how the downtown works. So an example of the docks project that came before us and the way that they were going to create a railing on top, steps up to the retail store, and they had railings in front of it, and I met with them prior to and just said other areas and other developments that are like that have steps up do not see the volume of patrons or foot traffic because of that. It's a deterrent. If they have to walk around, they're not going to go up, and they're not going to walk around. So and only because after it's built, we're the ones dealing with the business owner and how do we get more people into my store? Laura, what can you do to get more people in my store? And it's really the design of the building, not necessarily the fact that they're not a good tenant. So those things are things that we're learning here as we, grow in this position and for our organization and learn from others. So those are things that we can help you all too as you look at programs and projects that come forward to just looking at that. And it's about, as I learned when I first started as a director from our commission and our previous mayor, about proactive advocacy and inaction. He says in his email to me, inaction and silence is the opposite of effective advocacy, and it renders your organization less relevant with every missed opportunity. So when you get emails like that, and those are learning moments, and for us to be, move forward and be proactive, and at that point in time, I, shifted and said, I need to be at every commission meeting, I need to be at every meeting to find and just listen and hear what's happening, to be and read the agendas before the meeting to know, if this issue was around pedicabs. It hadn't come to the board yet. However, they were looking for us to get feedback, to be present at the meeting, to be able to share our input from the stakeholders. So things like that along the way, and this is 2017, so it's been a few years, but it's still very important for us to stay alert and informed and inform you as well as to inform others to help guide our downtown.
Yes, this is kind of my concept of it. Commission's flying at 30,000 feet, DDA board's at 15,000, Laura and her team are at 5,000, then the business owners are at 1,000. Everything flows up instead of the commission going from 30,000 feet down to 1,000 feet. It just siphons the information a lot better than we can give, the stakeholders' opinion to the commission when they need it. That's my view of it, but
And vice versa, right?
Yeah,
when it comes
exactly.
out, it's important for them to know too, because everyone's busy running their business, and to be at a commission meeting or hearing, it might not come out until months later. So it's important. So thank you.
All right. I think that was a good discussion. Let's move on down to Old School Square management and programming, the ILA renewal discussion for 24 through 25. And again, I think our team has a presentation from Laura and Suzanne.
Yes, great. All right, so we're going to run through, bring you up to speed, kind of like from a little timeline for you. So where we are today, where we started, August of 2021, as you all know, the city terminated the lease. And then in October, the city and the DDA had a workshop together to, and prior to that, leading up to that workshop, there was, the letters of interest that went out, proposals of things. The inactiveness of the Old School Square going through summer was a really, and that time was really a difficult time for the downtown and an eye-opening experience for us as an organization to say we have to step in at some point to do something, because whether it's just creating events to do there or help in some way with the city. So coming up with a proposal, looking at what the capabilities from our expertise was to do, to jump in to support and fill gaps, led us to really proposing the big thing was the Cornell Museum. The Cornell Museum was closed, and the longer a museum is closed, the harder it is to reopen. Having an expert on our team and a past Old School Square employee, we were lucky enough to be able to open up right away the Cornell Art Museum with Mariska Gatto's leadership and building of her team there. So with that, we did that in December. February, we took over final signing of the ILA, and then the next slide, into the actual assuming the management of the full campus minus the Crest Theater. So why the DDA? Old School Square campus is the heart of our downtown. It's the center of our city. It is a 5-acre place that is a place for cultural and art and openness for our community. It's a huge economic driver, as you all can see from some of the placer numbers that you're seeing. But it is a huge economic driver at bringing foot traffic and event traffic to that area. Quiet is negative, and also negative not only to the economic impact, but to our arts and culture impact. The agreement, we are in an interlocal agreement now with the city of Delray Beach to manage and program the entire campus through September 30th, 2024, minus the Crest Theater, as you know. Our interlocal agreement does have an automatic renewal for an additional 5 years, unless either party specifies differently. The Crest Theater building is not part of our interlocal agreement. It is in the city's purview, and they are working on a RFP to the entities that expressed interest, from what I understand. Again, back to phase 1, what we did is change the narrative, build the team, and fill the gaps, and that's where we are. It's been a year. We've been forging ahead really fast and furiously doing that, building a team there. Cornell Art Museum, these are just some numbers that you can see of what the past since December 22, where we are today, which is incredible to have 12 exhibitions, 196 artists in there.
That's almost an exhibition per month. I mean, every month and a half, she's got something new going in there. That's incredible.
You do. And then on the campus itself, so we've not only produced, based on the programming side of the house, created events really going into summer as our focus, and really making sure that summer in downtown, we own, and I'm going to quote Vera, we want to own summer, and I think we did. With our PR team jumping in, and really the amount of publicity that we received for the city with the amount of events that were there, as well as the private events that were there. There was a lot of private events. We managed those as well as a venue, and really bringing in a lot of foot traffic to, as you can see, 225,000 people. And that is just geofencing the Old School Square campus.
Is there
That's
a way
just
we
the
can own that?
amphitheater and park, actually.
Can we hashtag that this year? Delray Beach, we own summer.
Hashtag.
Ooh, that's good fire.
Fire.
Yeah. I'm like,
Watch out. There's going to have a new post coming out. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the post.
All right, so the Vintage Gym came on board with us in 23 because the city, we took over, we stepped into this and we let the city manage the venue of the gym or the field house up until September 30th, and we took it over October 1st and have done a lot of work in there, just trying to understand the facility, get the place cleaned up, as well as get the marketing around it out there, and processes and contracts and procedures and things that our team, Alex and Victoria, are really working closely and building that and those processes so we can make sure that we've got some strong programs there. And it's still all very some pulling over from city contracts and agreements, and creating our own with our own logo, but there's still a lot of that we just really folded over from the city's work. but we'd love to get into more automated programming and contracting and just sign-ups there. That's just that will be potentially for long term. Again, we're in the short term right now. So, but the gym itself has had some really successful events there, and combined with the marketing and PR and things that we're doing, really have helped those events that have happened in there be really successful. One being the Orchid Show, which has been, they said they had their best year this year. So. Marketing wise and what's happening now. So implementing there, we're in the middle of the plan. That is just our 23-24 plan. So summer, we're launching summer soon, which will be May, and going through our summer programming. The rebrand, we are at a place of looking for logo approval, and so we can really now go into the phase of implementation of the rebranding. Brand approval has to go through the City Commission. We'd like to have, right now we have just a WordPress website. We'd like to have a permanent website, that's our goal. So to have that, once all the marketing is approved, we can go to implementation and building of that. So what's next? That's why we're here today. We wanted, since this campus is, and programming events and activation and exhibitions take long runway time. I mean, you can do things quickly, but it's not smart. So for us, we have options here. We really wanted to get your feedback. We, as a team, we're not 100% sure where the board, the DDA board, felt we wanted us to move forward with. So that is why we brought this to you as a workshop for discussion, to really get your feedback on how do you see us moving forward, so we can notify the city. Our options are: 1, continue managing and programming Old School Square, renewing our ILA, schedule with our new commission a workshop so we can collectively discuss, get feedback with the new commission and us as a new board and a new team. What's next? Expand our team and operations. Again, we're a very small team. We need to make sure that we're building that properly so it can be sustainable, which brings back, there should be a full campus plan put together that is sustainable and can be passed on, and stays with the campus, so that whoever does come here, that it's a built plan that can be executed by us or others. And then also the one thing on here is that, which seems like, I can't believe it's here, but when we brought this up and back in 22 or 21, we said that the Crest Theater and the Vintage Gym will turn 100 years old in 2025. So that was like a big mark. Our Delray Beach City, it's Delray Beach, will turn 100 years old in 27, I believe. But this is a significant milestone, and we think that it deserves a significant celebration and could be a good fundraising opportunity. So the other option is
Can I
not
point
to.
out one thing real
Sure,
quickly?
yeah.
Automatically renew. It has automatically renewed. Our new date.
No,
It
they
has to-
can't.
Well, you have to provide notice 180 days before September 29th, and that date has passed. So technically, the contract has renewed to 2029. Now, I mean, you do have the number 2, provide 180. Now
Right.
we're on a
Mhm.
180.
Right.
But part of I've seen our problem is, like, we've had 2 one-year contracts. Now we have a 5-year contract.
Right.
So it's easier now we can do some things knowing that there's a 5-year period.
If that's
in
the
there.
consensus
If
of the
that's
board,
consensus,
right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
I think that's really our question: is this the consensus of the board for us to go down this path?
But
I
we're
think
just
that's-
past number 1 now with the automatically. It has renewed, so we're down to number 2, which has always been there. Well, up until this September, we've been
Right,
having
and at any
renewed.
point,
Yeah.
there's both parties.
Yeah.
If the city's not in alignment and would like to, they can as well. So
Right.
that's, I think, where the big thing is for us is to first, number 1, make sure that there's consensus from you all as a board for us to move down this path of moving on to continuing the management of Old School Square campus, building and expanding the team, and bringing forth, that plan planning process too. And really, I think the big first step would be, setting that workshop with our city commission and leaders to really understand their vision and where we are and what they, want us to continue to do or shift, change. I mean, the feedback would be helpful.
Yeah.
Can I say something first, Mr. Chairman? I guess for us to vote, I feel like there's a lot of pieces that are not necessarily joined together. So we have the Crest Theater, that's going to be possibly run by someone else. We have a strategic plan that we want to put together for this campus that could potentially be turned over to someone else. And then we have the 100-year celebrations that are coming forth. So we have a lot of pieces that would help to determine whether or not we stay focused on moving towards the future. And then if we do, I have other concerns that I've written down that we need to probably address with the commission to ensure that you have all the resources to move forward expeditiously in the plans that will be put forth. But I think one of the things that I'm very concerned about is who the potential new partner would be in terms of the Crest Theater and or the classrooms. Because my goal would be to keep it under the umbrella of the Downtown Development Authority and put maybe a lecture series from FAU or Palm Beach State in there that would be consistent, sign a long-term contract, and let that be where it is. And then any of the arts that want to go in there, they can go to the Arts Warehouse because they have classrooms and things of that nature. But that's where I am. So I need some clarity on how we're putting all these pieces together that are kind of like laying all over the table.
Didn't we kind of give up the authority to choose who we wanted a partnership with?
Which is why that's my concern,
Yeah.
is we don't know where we are in that process. It's like you want to buy a duplex, but who's the neighbor that you're
Yeah,
buying?
no, I agree.
You know what I mean?
Well, I think that would be a big question for the workshop with the city commission, because we have a new commission now, and to understand really where their perspective is on the entire campus. I know that Brian's mentioned several times of just we need to be part of that process at some point, and be overseeing it, and I think that's really probably for a good discussion item for you all as well as with the commission.
Do you guys, the staff, have a consensus on what you guys feel you want to do? Because I mean, obviously the work's on you guys.
Well, I think, we've been, as a team, we are, we've got a lot of momentum. Have had great success along the way. We do know that we need a longer runway, having, or not. I mean, I think for us as an organization, we know the importance of it. We need to be part of it, no matter what. And I do think, right now, we feel that we should continue and then have on those steps and making sure that we're building and expanding the team, because if in the current process we are in right now, it's not sustainable.
So I guess adding on to that, building and expanding the team obviously means we need more money. Where do we get that from?
Yeah, well, that's got to be back.
Part of it.
Yeah, so we have to reevaluate what we're doing to build the team and what that looks like as we budget out. Mm-hmm.
Do we request a workshop with the commission to kind of move forward on this? Okay.
Yep. That would be the next step.
I think part of that, again, we love having these discussions in the light. This is where we have to have them. We want to have them with the commission in the light. Again, we have a new commission on board. We have Old School Square being our cultural hub, of our downtown. Again, I think the DDA has done a great job coming in and filling a gap, because we saw what happened when the gap wasn't filled, and it wasn't great for our downtown. And I think looking forward, is what we're doing sustainable, and how do we want to either try to make it sustainable, or where are our real strengths, and then where are the places where we could maybe have another organization take on some of the liabilities of if someone twists their ankle in the park, or if it rains and you can't have a show and it costs $30,000. Like, that's taxpayer dollars. Those are not things that I personally love the DDA taking the full responsibility of, but I think it's something we have to now, because we have to program the shows. But again, in the future, maybe there's another option. But I think what we're looking at now is these next 5 years, and we need I push for the 5-year renewal because 1 year doesn't give you enough time. Having, run a music festival in Okeechobee, Florida, it's, it takes a year and a half to do the programming, at least a year. So what this team's been doing on the run is awesome, not necessarily sustainable, and probably more expensive in the long run the way we're running it now, versus if we say, okay, let's put a 5-year plan together. Hey, FYI, I think it's close to city budget time, Jeff, maybe. So we want to have these discussions and make known that if there's some opportunities for funding, and this is stuff that our new commission wants to see happen, we want to see happen. This is kind of what we're doing here. So I think this is really looking at, the next 5 years, really understanding that this is really planning for the next 2, I think is a good way to kind of look at it.
And then also making sure that we're, if we have this time frame, we can put resources into purchasing or leasing equipment versus one-offs. Concerts, you're spending $10,000 a pop for equipment that over time could be less. So there's a lot of things that we could do differently if we have that. That's just aligning our position and making that plan.
And speaking about, this is the Old School Square, management plan we're discussing now. One thing that, again, I think our organization has really done a great job with is our marketing and PR. And I think we've grown a lot through taking over Old School Square and with the museum and a lot of the things we're doing. And again, I want to put it on the record here. I've talked about it before. When Old School Square left, they took their website, they took all these different assets. That's why, again, in Laura's plan, we're creating all these assets, but we'll be able to hand them over. But not the website necessarily. We control that, but we'll work with people. There's certain things that the DDA should maintain, do our marketing of and promotion of our downtown, but not necessarily be responsible for all the shows 10 years in the future, but still maintain. So if someone leaves or something happens or there is a bad neighbor, and whether it's us who doesn't like them or some liability, whatever happens, they don't take everything that they built as far as the infrastructure for a website or an email or, because this is really a city property. So they kind of belong to the city, and I want to just make sure we kind of manage that, accordingly in the future.
I think one of the things that I keep hearing as we have done this, I was one of the first people to stand up and say the DDA needed to take this on. I was one of the very first people out of the gate before people even thought about what they were going to do and move forward. I don't even want to entertain that somebody else is going to take this over. Because of the work that's been put into it, the investment that's been done, knowing that there's a visionary leader that is with a team that is very 100% behind the vision that we've had for this entity. Again, I think when you have organizations and you start breaking them up into business decisions, the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing, and that's when things start to crumble. That's just me from my background experience. And I think it is better that we grow the team to ensure that there is some type of synergy moving forward with what the ideals for our community are. To hire a group that might be from outside of Delray to take on this somewhat keeps me up at night. Now that I run I don't know if I want to call it a business, but now that I've established a flea market in the gym, we surveyed people as they came in to ask them where did they hear about the flea market. And a lot of them were tourists that had come from the hotels. Thank you, hotels out there, that told everybody to come to Flea Mingle on fleamingle.com. And a lot of the people were people that were visitors. But there were people that had actually also lived here that didn't even know the gym existed. I told one of my friends to meet me for one of the exhibits that Maruska invited me to. I said, meet me in front of the museum. She'd lived here for years. She said, Vera, I never even knew how to get in there. I didn't even know it was open. I thought it was an abandoned building just sitting in the middle of the city waiting for somebody to come along and buy it. And these are the types of things that now that we're making it into a vibrant event space that I think people are starting to acknowledge, Delray has this really cool place and we own those events. And so I just don't want to stop the momentum by having some type of tenant that comes in that doesn't have that same energy and vision for what we want this campus to be. And I know we can have workshop after workshop and talk and try to convince them to get on board and do what we're doing. But I just keep hearing that we need to turn it over. We need to turn it over. And I don't see that. So I'm never going to vote for us to turn it over, just so you know. Thank you.
Thanks, Vera.
I don't think we're there. I don't think
I don't
know
think we're there
anybody
either.
who said that we should turn it over, because one, we know how long it's taken us to get
Get
to
to-
here.
thank you.
Then
Thank
tomorrow
you.
we start, so our 6 months from now, they give us 180 days and we start over. Next thing you know, we're at another year and a half, 2 years
Yes.
down. No, I mean, I'm more excited that, okay, we can start coming up with a 5-year plan. We could maybe hire a director that is we do have the firewalls, finance, and certain employees that are there for Old School Square. But no, I mean it's that's where the city. You have 3 new commissioners that haven't served in a while, or haven't served, so we don't know where their ideas were. We knew where the old commission was, so no, we don't know. But I think I'm still, when we were on the board last year to take this over, I'm excited about it. But I know you guys can't keep up that pace.
Well, I mean, it is, it's amazing, really, to be in the place that we are, coming from being with the Downtown Development Authority since 2010, and living here my whole life. But just seeing what happens on that campus and around that campus in our downtown, how the parking garage works. We know that better. What signage is not there that should be there, and it's probably never. We've discovered things that should have been discovered a long time ago, quite frankly, that we are able to share and guide and help our city teams that, whether it's recycling or litter pickup or lighting, sidewalks, a lot of the different things that are now being addressed. And it's really just for looking at it from a different eye, and a downtown management eye. So I think when I applaud our team for pointing out and being vigilant and making sure that, I know Victoria's not here, but she looks at this space like it's her place, and and it's her responsibility if the door's not, if for some reason the lights aren't on, or the locks are now in a different place, and cars are driving through at a high speed. And so it's really important for you all to know that we do really take responsibility for this more than sometimes maybe we should, but we do care a lot. And it is really cool to see it function the way it is. Great to see all of the cars that are going into Old School Square Garage. I know we've had a lot of conversation about no one's using that place. We've seen it completely full at 6:30 at night, and on multiple occasions. So 11,000 cars in and out of there within a 4-hour period. That's pretty good. And I'd love to see more of that happen. So
Do you guys have a number yet on how many people bought the parking pass?
we have the number for this month.
It's a good video.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I didn't get comparisons yet from last March comparatively, but we have 872.
Nice.
It's growing.
Yeah.
Again, you know me and parking.
It continues. We had someone walk in our office
Yeah,
yesterday
but I
looking
think
for a
it's
pass. So
helping.
yeah, we could sell them in our office. It'd be good. But no, I think that's those are. It's just again, every day. Jeff and I talk a lot. The team we talk a lot with the city team that's there about ways to improve the space. More things we can do. We've added additional decorative lighting in the loges because those are dark spaces that people tend to hang out. So we've lit those up and deterred some behaviors that maybe happen after everything's closed or they're leaving and walking and hanging out. So a lot of things, a lot of progress for sure. So I applaud my team for all their work.
Thanks, team. Yeah. Again, I think, the biggest hesitation, for me for just being like, oh, we'll keep it forever, just so you understand, is the money, right? This is straight up the city, not even just the $1.5 million they give us, but then the improvements to the property, the air conditioning, the sprinklers, like the city is spending a lot of money on this property besides what they give us. And I don't know if looking into a 10-year plan, and again, we'll be having the time with the city just to make sure that they are looking to commit that kind of money directly to the campus, because that's a big part of it. Or if not, how much are they willing to? Because again, we'll keep it forever, but as soon as the budget goes down, and we're not even our budget's light compared to most people because we're spending money to activate, to create economic sustainability, placemaking, all the things that we're supposed to do, but we're not necessarily looking for return, right? So this is just money that's going in, doing the things we're supposed to do, and the returns you and I know are for the other businesses and everything around it. It's not but the city's flipping a ton of money. I don't know what the water bill is, but I know it's a lot. And I don't know what the air conditionings are, but I know there's 30 of them. And I don't know what the electricity is, but I know it's a lot. And again, it's just there's a lot of stuff that you just got to keep in mind as you're just like, we're just going to run this thing,
Just playing.
I think one of the consultants, when we can get a dollar amount per head from the consultants, I think that if you're going to hire them, they should be able to tell us how much each head is worth coming in. I mean, when I was in the cosmetic industry, we knew if a woman walked up to the counter and was standing up, she's going to spend $50. But if we can have her sit down and do a makeover on her, it's $125. Right. So we should know economically how much each head walking into our city is worth on the Ave or to the restaurants or wherever in our city long term.
Right.
Yeah, we should be able to do that in the near future
Now,
for each
yes.
program we have, so that we know exactly what we did, exactly what we spent on that specific program, how many people came, was it good, were we looking for a lot of people, were we looking for a certain thing. Like, the placer's a great metric. It doesn't solve everything, but it's really something that you can use that's pretty uniform. And again, just understanding those costs to each specific thing. I think
Just
is
playing
helpful.
devil's advocate here. If you bring in a third party, though, they're going to have to eat all those costs, so it's getting made up somewhere. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know how they're going to.
Yeah, I think, again, I don't know exactly how they do it, but I'd imagine if, like, someone big came in, the stuff before, again, it was before I was involved, but, like, someone came in to book bigger shows here, the amphitheater doesn't have the infrastructure to handle that. Maybe they'll come in and they'll say, hey, I will build a historically significant roof and put in money in your speakers and lights because I'm going to go and bring in bigger shows that I can charge more money for.
Right.
Where, again, we're not trying to maximize every dollar we can get from every show. We're trying to bring people in and make it affordable and set off some of our expenses. That's where it's made up. And again,
That's which direction we want to
yeah,
go. I guess.
exactly. And then
Right.
and then we're the city, like who wants to
Work
pick
outside.
that up and invest the dollars?
Jimmy
'Cause if
Buffett's
it's
a pretty
not,
big show.
Yeah, that's pretty big.
What's that?
Jimmy Buffett was a pretty big show.
Yeah, no, it was. But again, that was how much money did you have to lay out ahead of time? Hundreds of
risk,
thousands
yeah.
of dollars,
Yeah.
months and months ahead, which is just taxpayer dollars.
Yeah.
Just again, that's just the
Well, it's
stuff.
also partners too. I think
Yeah,
that's
partners,
something that
right.
we're just tapping into, and being actually business development, sponsorship development. That's a whole full-time
Yeah.
job.
Well, oh, I
And-
know.
And
Trust
grant
me, I've been on
writing and all
work with
those things are
not-for-profits, yeah.
grants are also available that
Full-time
we're
job,
Not,
yeah.
We're not even haven't even tapped into that.
But now we have a
So-
little more time too with this discussion with the city in the 5 years. When you have a year, you can't get a grant,
Right.
Right.
for the next year. It just doesn't work that way. And you have to show that you have control of the property too. It's part of the grant process generally.
Sure. Christina, do you have anything?
No, I'm excited for you guys. I think, again, it sounds like we're already in the 5-year, right? Because September, but
But it's nice to have the proactive discussion, I think.
100%.
Yeah.
Don't disagree with you, buddy.
Yeah.
I think, again, like, let's have the workshop. Let's talk it out with the commission where their vision is, and let's all work together on it. But I love what you guys did. You guys activated it. It's not easy. And, just keep, I can't say kicking butt. I can say butt. Okay.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of efficiencies we can pick up moving forward with some time,
sure.
just on some of the things you mentioned that'll help bring costs of the shows down, bring, our whatever the metrics are we're looking for. Again, I like the bringing people together metric just because we can measure it now and it's, it's strong. You can't argue it, so.
Well, we know cost. We're getting that institutional knowledge of how to run a show, what you need for a show and things. And that's why I said if somebody came in, that's totally up to the city commission in 180 days. But, you can do that. And then that's one of the things we have to, if we possibly look at is like, okay, if we book something a year and a half away, as you said, they want to make sure you have the authority to do it, that will go on.
The good news is, good news, bad news, right? Like, that's taxpayer dollars.
Yeah.
Like that's the city. It's the city's taxpayer dollars that they'd have to say no, we don't want to do the show in the year and a half that you booked. And again, I think all this stuff would take some time generally. Like if there is some sort of transition, I'm talking 10 years down the road. I'm just trying to look down. Right now, let's go. Again, 5-year renewal, 2-year plan. I think is the way to kind of look at this, in my opinion.
Yeah, and we've heard a lot of feedback from those that are attending and those that aren't, and getting some good feedback and making some changes based on some feedback.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that this is a as you say, is paid by the taxpayers of Delray Beach. So what can we do if we're doing a ticketed event? Have a resident ticket price. So we are instituting that in future ticketed events. We have the downtown VIP experience. So if you're a resident in downtown, we've created a VIP area for residents that live in downtown and pay an extra DDA tax to come into the VIP area for free. So it's those little things that I think, and we're trying to pay attention and do what we can for our stakeholders in our city, because it's not just a downtown entity, it is a city entity.
Yeah.
And that is a little different for a downtown organization. So we want to make sure that, we're listening to everyone and open for everyone to be there. And Maruska's hosting kids from schools, and the Space of Mind comes over and plays on the campus and during recess. So seeing the activity there and being able to use it in that way is the way it's intended to do. So.
Yeah. And then I also, again, instead of just talking about the future plan, I'll put in there, I'd love to look at, with the board, the pricing. Because again, I want to have the space be available for the school that wants to use it, or for a non-for-profit that's local. But then at the same time, if there's a corporate partner that comes in and then wants to use the space, I think they could pay more than $1,200 or $2,000, for the use of that space, because we're cleaning up, we're doing a lot. I mean, there's a true cost to that versus, we're just letting them go in the space, and I get that true cost. And again, I think we can revisit a lot of that pricing around there and come up with, we discussed some protocols for who we want to, provide the space to, and then who we can charge,
Setting some
and
policy.
certain, like a policy institute.
Yeah, that's, we've assumed some policy from both places. So I think coming up with a structure would be important comparatively to other, entities like this, maybe around the county. And also looking at, just how, like the permitting process, because right now it goes through.
We have to pull I saw that in the
right.
interlock.
So the special event policy drives any event that happens on the campus, and this is a campus that's meant for events, right? So how do we figure that out with our city?
Talk about that with the commission in the meeting.
Right.
Good idea.
So
put that on the agenda. Don't forget that one.
good.
Great. Any other discussion on this?
I have a couple of points.
Yeah.
I emailed Laura earlier in the week, and I said, when we were talking about Old School Square, I said, one of the things I think the board would always like to know is what's the position of the DDA and the staffing with taking on a huge project like this and managing it. And she was like, hey, that's a great question. We'll discuss it. So I think my question's been answered with that. Staff's comfortable with the extra workload. My other question is, when you have two businesses, the time that's spent amongst the two businesses now, before it was just a DDA in the downtown, now it's the DDA to downtown and Old School Square. My concern is more time being spent on Old School Square than downtown? And how much of a burden is it on yourself, which I know it's a lot, and your staff? How do you separate your time you're spending for the accountability purposes of it? And, what can be done in the perfect world, in your opinion, what can be done to make your job and the staff jobs easier? And my other concern is, what if the commission was to scale back funding on Old School Square? Or I don't know if they could even possibly eliminate it. Who would then fund Old School Square and all the programs?
Yeah, that's the problem. That's why it's
out of our control. You said, what is the market value to the property? Valid point. Are we charging too little? Because I don't think the commission has to fund it. Maybe they could fund it more, fund it less. And one of my concern is, and believe it or not, no one believes me when I say this, Laura gets blamed for everything. So there's issues downtown that are not Laura's responsibility, but becomes the DDA's responsibility. And it's Laura Simon and the DDA in every conversation. So my concern is with this DDA, with the Crest Theater thing, if they bring in a third-party entity and something goes wrong and it's not managed properly, and people don't like the venues or the performances or artwork, whatever it may be, guess who's going to get blamed? You. So, you know, that's my concern, where do you have full control, partial control, how's staff being split? Because, once again, what are there enough people to run both entities? I mean, how are they doing Savor the Avenue and free concerts at Old School Square? It's a lot of work. You know, people may not mention it. A lot of people will criticize it. Some love it, some hate it. It's a lot of work to put on a staff. You know, I know what my staff can do in any given day, but if I have 2 guys out, I can't expect the rest of the staff to pick up for the 2 guys. So that's my concern. You know, do you have enough staffing? Like, you know,
So again,
and
you ask a lot of questions.
and fundraising, and is there like a corporate like sponsorship thing we could have? Like
We do.
Stadiums are named after things, you know.
So lots of questions. Our team.
More concerns, Laura, not questions. More
okay.
concerns.
Our team. I have the best team in the world right now, I have to say, and they love what they do. But we also have a strong downtown. So Savor the Avenue is an example. We work really closely with our restaurants to put that event on, and it's a huge lift.
Huge.
But it is.
Jazz on the Avenue is huge.
Those are big
There's
things.
a lot of moving parts.
Right.
A lot.
And we have, spread ourselves into different places to help with some of the Old School Square events. We've definitely added resources for that by bringing on 2 basically full-time staff members in-house working there right now. They're on contract, but they're not technically full-time employees, FTEs, but they are full-time in time. They actually, and a part-time marketing person, administrative person. She's Kelly Ames, who used to work with us. She came back to help support website updates and different things, because marketing is definitely a small. We didn't add there, so we didn't add to the marketing team. So with that as a place, so expanding going forward is what we would look to do, because we need facilities management. Maruska's definitely built her team up in the museum, but we don't have people to move chairs, to move or set up. We're doing that, and that's a lot. We're pretty strong. Oh, we don't have chairs. Yes, we don't have to. So we hire part-time people or a person just for that event. So event staff to come in and set up. So there's areas for us to improve, which we are looking at. The next event in April, our next concert, we're going to add on-site staff, which we did at this last one, because we need crowd managers. So we're learning these things and growing as we go, and we've come a long way. But there's, and back to your question about me, and how do I split my time? I have a good team. I trust what they're doing. There's times I need to be there. Like I was there Saturday with the Cruiser Palooza all day in the afternoon through the event in the evening, because we need to be there to help support that event. Granted, it's a rental, but we need to still be there. And then maybe take a day off in the future. It's balanced. We're all working on it. It's not the best sustainable plan, so that's where we would look to hire more of a management staff in that. And that might mean taking more funding for operations and then less on programming. But that's going to happen, and maybe have more rental events to fill gaps, right?
And again, when this whole discussion's regarding Old School Square, so it's really talking about, as you said, there's consultants and all these people that we're paying, but it's really talking about us coming up with the budget to have a staff that's Old School Square staff, so that she's actually not staff. So that you're not divided. I mean, that's right. That's I think regarding the DDA and Old School Square,
It's just not fair to the staff and the pressure they're put under. It's a major operation to run in itself.
Yeah.
It's not like, a little storefront, or no disrespect, a visitor center. You have 1 or 2 people, and you could balance it, and one person calls out sick or goes on vacation. It's an easy peasy task. This is a monster. This is the economic engine of downtown Delray, and the commission is a huge, intricate part of it. That's why I asked earlier, our relationship with the commission is so important. Yep. Maybe we're not funded enough, raw numbers wise. Maybe we could get more from the donation side of it, so we can have a nicer grounds. I discussed it with Laura. She's like, it's frustrating because we have a budget and we want to make improvements, and it's a constant upkeep of the property. You know, after Green Market goes home on Saturday, you know, there's a lot of cleanup. You know, there's people. Thank God there's people in traffic, but there's a negative side to that.
Are you writing a check today? Is that what you're doing? You're going to write a check?
I would love to. My wife will kill me.
Dealers pro-choice.
Park, yeah.
One thing
Dealers
about
pro-choice
me-
park
one
sounds
thing
good.
about-
It
and
doesn't
I'll
hurt
go
to
on-
ask, right?
One thing about me, and I'll
We'll
go
come
on
up with a
record
number.
about it, all right? I do love to donate, but that's not important. I might be one of the harshest critics you'll ever meet, but I'm also the biggest cheerleader. And I might butt heads with people and disagree with them, but at the end of the day, I'll respect them more. And what you and your staff do, and being part of this, I don't know how much longer, but just being part of this, and we had this conversation before, there is a lot of blame or responsibility given to people that shouldn't have that. And that's my biggest thing. Like, I look at downtown, we have DPW, we have Parks and Recs, we have Code, we have DDA, we have the city, and it's like, which way do you turn first? It's like, who's on first, Waldo? And it always comes down to one thing, though. Oh, that's in the DDA. Well, you know, it's people don't understand it unless they are educated about it. And I had this conversation a couple of months ago with the police department and the homeless program. Unless you're educated and you know what programs are in place and what the city is doing and the money they're spending and the staff they're allocating to it, you have no respect for it. You know, someone once said to me, I had this conversation earlier too, of the 60,000 plus people in this city, you know, 60 plus thousand and change care about their garbage being picked up and their water flowing. And one of the persons is in this room that told me that, right? And there's a handful, a few hundred, that really care.
All right, let's keep it on the
But
old
I'm
school
just
square.
saying, so
Bring
on
me
Old
back to
School
old school
Square,
square.
sorry to wander off, Brian.
Please.
On Old School Square, it's as board members, it's super important we know how we could be your cheerleader, to sum it up.
Well, it sounds like if we want to do the 5-year plan and the city's on board with it, then we staff up a bit. I mean, and we try to
Right.
get more money from
Where's
the
that
city.
money come from?
We're gonna
The
have to ask
city,
the city
that's
for
the
it.
city.
Yeah.
They're budgeting now. We want to have a workshop. There's an
And what
opportunity.
if they say no?
Well,
What do
then we have
do?
to change our plans.
You get what you pay for.
Yeah.
I mean, when we
But
first
if you
got
don't
this-
ask at the right
Or
time,
do you go to Plan B and let's start a huge fundraising campaign? Like,
yeah.
you know,
But
Well,
I think
yeah.
we got to go to Plan A first to make sure the city's on board or not on board before you go to any other plans. And again, you have to do this stuff in the light, and this is why we're having the workshops.
I'm also about efficiency, and I think you know that. I'm not for the warm bodies, just hiring because we have a budget that allows for us to put someone in place. I worked in education long enough, took enough pulses of teachers who weren't necessarily functioning appropriately. I want to make sure that when we hire the person that they're ready to hit the ground running, in terms of what it is that we're looking for to fill. If it is someone who's in charge of grant writing and fundraising, let them focus on that. They don't necessarily need to be doing the events and walking. You came to the Flea Mingle event, and I appreciated it. And then we walked outside and we realized, yes, some things need to take place so that these folks can actually see this over here, you know, under better lighting, A-frames, how to get more people involved. And you have a very keen eye for what is needed by the residents and the folks that are downtown. And as you continue to evolve, I think that your eye and working with the team will help to uncover a lot of areas that can be improved on that campus. But if we bring a new group on, you also have to remember that it's going to take them a while to get up and running because you're going to be the one training them. And that's why I'm like hesitant to even put anybody over there. Why not just hire a few more bodies for a lesser price on your team? You deal with the scope of them, and then we move forward. I just think that bringing on someone else just kind of messes up the ingredients in the mix, and all of a sudden we're back to square one where we're not even moving forward anymore. We're stagnant. So that's just my 15 cents, not 2.
Thank you. Awesome.
I'll go. You guys do a great job with Old School Square. We've all said that. It shows. But my main concern from when I got on the board was, what about that side of Atlantic and that side of Atlantic? Because everything, when we started from goal settings, it was all about Old School Square in the beginning. And then when we ended it, it was about homeless, clean, and safe, right? And we do need to find a way to get everybody else is involved with getting paid here to do their job more in our area of responsibility. Because it's what I see is going to happen is you guys are going to nail Old School Square, and then Swinton 95 is neglected, which it's already being neglected, and then the other side, where I'm at, neglected, right? I mean, I always use the same thing. People pay $1,000 a night to stay in the king size bed in the Opal, and they got to walk down our nasty sidewalks, right? Trees half cut, plants. I mean, just the whole vibe of walking down Atlantic Avenue is horrible for me, especially when at nighttime when all the homeless pop out, right? Because that was one of our main things, right? So I don't know how we take on Old School Square successfully and still maintain our other areas of our taxpayers' dollars.
But we can only do so much with regard to like clean and safety and stuff. That's us pressuring the city. Other
Yes.
than that, there's nothing really we can do unless they want to give us more responsibility.
That's what we got. But if we're not paying attention to it, we're not getting on them.
Okay.
It's Cole, with all due respect, it's, I agree with you. But the thing is, when people hear DDA, a lot of people feel the DDA is responsible for that.
I know, but
It's not
but
fair
you
to the
can't
DDA
sit
staff.
everyone down and tell them that's not our responsibility. That's not our responsibility.
No, but
that's not our
people,
responsibility.
you know, you have a conversation with people that are here on vacation or people that live here. Vera even said, I had a friend that didn't even know the building was open. It was mothballed. It's for sale. So, you know, people go down the avenue, there's a mildew building. Oh, that's a DDA's fault.
Yeah,
It's
no,
not
I
fair,
get that, but
you
we can
know?
only pressure the city so much. I mean, what else are we supposed to do? Unless we want to hire our third party to help clean up and stuff, right? I mean, unless I'm missing something here.
I think one of the things is, and I think we started in that direction, is we need to sit down and have a workshop and have some real honest, fierce conversations about what
How can we
is
help
what
to
it, yes,
help
how can we
them?
help
Yeah,
you to
I get
identify it, but then what are the action items and where's the accountability piece? Because it seems as if every meeting we're shouting for accountability on something, whether it's the homeless, the shrubbery, the trees, the pavers, the tripping, I mean, I can go on. I've been sitting here listening to us for like 2 years now, this group and the former group. And what we want is some action. And we keep, it's almost like we're playing whack-a-mole. Something gets fixed a little, boom, and then another one pops up and we're like, why didn't this get fixed? And we need to be able to walk and chew gum. And although, you know, the DDA is responsible for the downtown in terms of, that's why I said, what is the responsibility for the recommendation piece? We're responsible for recommending, but then after that, where's the accountability and the follow-up to ensure that what the folks are coming to us about, they feel like they're being heard and there's an execution that's taking place. And of course, it is a partnership. But even in a marriage, when my husband isn't taking out the trash at the time that I think it's appropriate, okay? Because, you know, there is a time limit on trash. And he's like, I'm taking it out. I'm like, what day? Next Nunday in Neverwary? You know, what are we doing? Is it the next Nunday in Neverwary? I mean, what day is it going to go out? So, and he does it nightly, but I just don't like it when the sun goes down. But anyway, I just think that we need to talk about accountability.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
biggest
I agree with
piece.
that. I agree.
Just to speak on accountability, because this is my point where I do my Delray Beach app. Everyone in the audience, get out your phones. You've been here the whole time. Download the Delray Beach City app, because you can't get any more accountable than taking a picture of your issue and sending it to them, and it's on a public record. Everyone can see it. You can go back every picture you take, and someone will follow up with you. Right, Jeff? So, like, honestly, like, that's
I hear
the
you.
key
What
to
do you do when you
accountability.
grab, and Laura will tell you, when you have 16 pictures in your phone? You want me now to work part-time by uploading all of those and notating where they are on the street. That's
you
the
take
issue.
them out the point, or you tell the people in the community when they're there and they see it, they take it. It's GPS.
That's where the people have a problem. If I have to upload 16 pictures and nobody else in the city who is getting paid to do the job is actually taking that responsibility,
Well, then I
that's
don't know
where
how
the
you're going to hold
problem
them
arises.
accountable. If you
Why
want-
shouldn't I? If they're
Yeah,
getting paid.
But if you don't,
Here it comes.
if you don't put it on the radar formally, how can you hold them accountable if they don't know?
So if I have a job and my job description is that I'm supposed to take care of that, I would assume that would be my responsibility and my role to take care of that.
It's a big
I wouldn't
city.
expect,
Need help.
I
It
wouldn't
takes a
expect for
village.
anybody to come and tell me what my role is to make sure that it's taken care of because I'm getting a paycheck. And I'm not trying to belittle anyone who is working because I am retired, but I was also an employee, a damn good employee for my entire career. Awards to prove it, Google me. But anyway, I'm just saying that if we don't have accountability in place by the people who are getting paid to do the job, then we need to pressure the people who are actually overseeing the employment. That's all I'm saying.
Right. So the best way to create the accountability is to take the pictures.
And that's why I'm bringing up our role with the commission, right? Because to me, everybody comes to Delray for our little 1.5 miles, 2 miles of territory, right? Without our little avenue, nobody's coming here, right? The priority should be our area, right? From everybody he's in charge of should be knowing that if something on Atlantic Avenue is messed up in the DDA area, because that's what brings everybody here, it needs to be top priority. He might sit here and say it in a few minutes, but we still haven't seen it, right? So if we get the staffing from the city commission that we got to work with, in my eyes, we can show the people that pay taxes and to the DDA that you're not going to get neglected on this side of Swinton. You're not going to get neglected on this side of the Intercoastal. That's all I'm a fan for.
Yeah. So to some of your points. So we are not everywhere at that time, but we do see things happen, and we work closely with the city. An example is behind the visitor center when I sent you the pictures of the valet area, and it was just the fence was broken. Now it's brand new. It's fixed.
There, yeah.
A matter of a month, we fixed that with the city's help. So
it's been broke for a year and a half.
Right. Yeah. So now we're fixed it. It's over. But that point is just those are things that can actually make things happen when we just stay on it and work closely with them. And if you have issues, you share those with us. If you've even put them up in the app, but then that's something that I don't, if it goes in the app, I don't see it,
Yep.
right? So that would be an
We can
opportunity
fix
for
that.
Jeff and I.
I don't know if you want it, but we can fix that.
I've been here a long time, and I have lots of pictures.
Yeah,
from
I
a
know.
lot of
I've seen the ones that
people,
come to
so.
you with all the other stuff, so appreciate it.
But I think those are things that it's in West Atlantic, Pineapple Grove, south of Atlantic. It's we've got a bigger team. We're out there as much as we can. There's a lot of new businesses coming into town. Our goal is to be in front of all of them as we can. 2 teams. That's the point. It's like having 2, divisions of the organization.
And that's all I'm getting at.
Yep.
With what we have for now, 5 years, you guys can maintain this?
Not with this what we have now. No, that's part of
That's what
expanding.
we
Right.
have to get with
Yes,
them and
exactly.
talk and
Yeah.
figure this out.
Yeah.
Go for a walk, do something.
Our esteemed assistant city commissioners, assistant city managers come up, excuse me.
Wow, I'm an elected official now all of a sudden.
You came up off the crowd. I want to make sure I gave you the mic.
And I apologize. I apologize. I'm going to have to be my broken record self and just remind you, we are doing our job. There are things that we don't see on a regular basis, and that's why we ask the public for their help. This is a large city. We have a limited staff, and we also have limited resources. We don't charge $140 a day for people to come downtown like they do at Epcot. So we do the best we can with the resources we have. We're always happy to hear more of, as I always say, you tell us the things that you find out there, we'll go out there, look at them, we'll fix them if they need fixing. We've done walkthroughs with several of you. We'll do more if you want to. We're there to do that. But again, remember, we have limited resources, and there's some things that are, I hate to say it this way, I always seem to have to say those words to you. There's things like the pavers out there. They're not at a point where we want to go up there and rip everything up and disturb downtown and spend $10 million to fix them at this point. That's the kind of thing it takes to do that. So it's going to be a little bit of time. If there's a real problem out there, we go, if there's truly a tripping hazard, there's a paver missing, we fix that. But we have a little uneven sea throughout the city in different spots. We're aware of it. We're keeping an eye on it. When it really gets to that point where we want to rip it all up and spend a lot of money, we'll do it when it needs to be done. In the meantime, we'll stay on top of it. Please tell us things you see.
I want to go on the record that I am seeing things get cleaned up. I still see the half-cut trees on the east side of Atlantic, the palm trees. I've taken pictures of them, as a matter of fact, for the record, because I'm walking, I'm just like, what is this? Or the ones on Federal right as you come in. But I've also seen a number of things get cleaned up, like the park in front of Park Tavern right there, right in the center, where it was turning all to mud. And I know a lot of the businesses were unhappy and like, hey, Delray, we can do better. Well, I've been back by, and it's better now. I know I've worked with some private businesses, with the DDA, with our police officers, and, gotten trespass notices put into place so that the police can actually have someone leave because they didn't know who to speak with because the business owner's out of area. So I think it takes everyone coming together. I've seen areas get it cleaned up. I saw the dumpsters get changed out on the alley, which is great. That alley's still like puddles and grossness and whatever else is happening back there needs to be addressed. But, it's one step at a time. I know it doesn't all happen as quickly as we'd like, but I just want to go on the record that I have seen some things not happen, but then again, a number of things really happening. So,
If I may remind you of one of the words that was brought up in the beginning, partnership.
Yep.
It's a partnership. We need you to help us and be our eyes sometimes because we do have limited resources. But we're happy to do what we can do when we see problems and you brought them to our attention and they really are something we need to get out there and fix. Yeah. We try to find them ourselves so that you don't have to. But again, there's also a certain amount of, there are things that we see every day, so somebody doesn't necessarily think that's a problem. Yep. Because we see it. It's that blemish on your wall at home. You see it and it annoys you, but somebody comes to visit your house, they don't know it's there and they don't think of it. So please point those out. We will do our best to fix them. Yeah. And Mr. Chair, if I may just take one quick point because I got to run to another meeting. Yeah. I just wanted to let you all know the tourism master plan, there is going to be a presentation to the commission next Tuesday's meeting on the implementation strategy. It will be relatively short. We're going to keep it really tight, and hopefully we have a little bit more direction on where to go with that when that's there.
Did they add historical site viewing to that? Because I know they were trying to make some changes to add something there. Do we know? I don't know. They talked to us at one point, but I've been tracking it.
Yeah, it's been a little while, so.
No, I know. I spoke to someone right when we came in. I think early on. Yeah. Anyways, well, thank you, Jeff, for your time and being here.
Thank you, and I do apologize. I got to run up to something else. And again, if you see anything, put in that, or if you really think it's important, give me a call. I'm available. You all have my card. You all have my cell phone number.
Jeff does take my calls, so I can vouch for that too, which I'm surprised by as well.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, let's go back to Old School Square.
We're still talking about it, basically.
Yeah,
it all works together.
It does. You're right. No, you're right.
It all works together.
Yeah. So I don't know if there's any other discussion, and again, I just for your point, I totally get it. I think what I'm seeing in this is that they're trying to create a separate staff and a separate arm so that it isn't the DDA splitting their time, but more a staff that can actually be there and manage it under the DDA in a way.
I think that's just it. It's like it's part of the umbrella, so it's a division of. So I think we need to realize that it's not going to not be the DDA because it's the DDA for a reason. Like we're good at marketing events. Place management. So again, looking at the Old School Square campus as a place and how does it operate. So that's the division, and that's why it's in our lap to do this. So, but again, we've got a strong team that does a lot of DDA things as well. So
how does it? Yeah. Again, the only reason I see the separation is the financial side of it, right?
Well, it's separate as well, right?
Yeah, that's why. So that makes Old School Square is Old School Square.
We had if we had. It's like we break down placemaking, economic development, marketing. All of those divisions are all separate, but under the same.
Yeah. No, I understand.
They're all in the same bank account.
They are the same bank account? I thought there were two different bank accounts.
Nope. Okay. So percentage of time-wise for your staff, what do you feel you guys spent on Old School Square day-to-day and downtown day-to-day?
For day-to-day, probably from me personally, I would say I am 60-40.
It's got to fluctuate because when you have special events downtown, you're devoting more time to downtown than when you have special events at Old School Square. So I'm sure it fluctuates.
Well, for me particular, but I think each staff members, them are solely on DDA, marketing or responsibilities or events. Like Danielle's only DDA. Her business development and marketing development is DDA centric only. Place management, she oversees that as well. While Victoria and Alex are all Old School Square only. And then they'll come in if we need staff on Savor. They'll come in and jump in and help with at that moment, but leading up to it, because these events aren't just the day of the event.
I think it's interesting.
There's a lot more things that happen behind.
Because when I talk to you, which is when I realize it's probably 3 times a week in terms of what I see when I'm walking around. I know you guys, when you get the phone call and you're like, oh God, Veer's on the streets. When I'm walking around, and like you will do a full day of development with taking them to the west side of Atlantic and doing a walkthrough and showing them what to look for and how to power through. And I forgot to tell Jeff, thank you, because they did clean up the parking lot at Bears. It's leased. Now, I don't know if it was them or the city that cleaned it up. I didn't get to tell him that. So if Jeff, if you're listening, thank you for that. But I think that when you're trying to quantify what you do, because it's so melded together, it's kind of hard to say this is like one part and this is one part. Because if you're walking past Old School Square, you might dart in and not really take that as a Old School Square day. I don't know. It's kind of fluid, I think.
Yes and no. I mean, I think there's definitely, we've got, again, positions that are focused on that and some that oversee both. So Suzanne's involved in both. We do have partners that are managing Old School Square marketing development. Alex is solely Old School Square, managing all inquiries, all logistic, administrative pieces, and then Liliana's all DDA. So BJ's all DDA Visitor Center. But also gets involved with working events at Old School Square, helping with volunteer recruitment. And that's her, putting that together, but she might not be at the event. She's getting volunteers for the event. So we have volunteers that work both DDA events, work the Visitor Center, and Old School Square. So it's a great, again, we say DDA, so I'm saying it's all one thing, but we're, it's got leveraging the expertise that we have on the team to help make it function well on both sides. And Mariska has been part of helping the art and activation and different pieces, and helping the team with any art infused pieces such as art and jazz, working with bringing out the tents and the artists that are out there, as well as during events at the campus, being more involved with that side of helping planning and that as well. So
it's an amazing job done by all, but in a personal opinion of mine, being a small business owner, I'm so used to just getting results. It's so frustrating for me to take in, digest, and process where, like, there's chain of command. I am the chain of command. I mean, Aaron owns a small business, you own a small business, she runs a small business, he used to have a small business. So, like, your employee doesn't come in, you're the employee for the day. So it's frustrating. Mark used to blow his own sidewalk off. He doesn't think I listen, but when he had his business, he was blowing that sidewalk off every day, right? Because he didn't want to wait on anyone. He wanted it done. So, Aaron, same thing. He's moving chairs, tables, seating people. He's in the back. He's doing everything. So it's frustrating on the business side of, hey, we want everything done, to take that and translate it into there's process and procedure. Because there's the product, the process, and the people. And it's hard to get all three together at one time. It's difficult. So, like, one of the things is when you get off 95 and we look at west of Swindon, I mean, we have a little cookie cutter, beautiful east of Swindon neighborhood on Atlantic. When we get off at west of Swindon, which I travel a lot, so I'm on and off the highways, I get off Atlantic Avenue and I'm like, what could this all be here one day? And now you're 7-8 years into your role, and it's like, I'm sure you've probably punched yourself in the head a dozen times of, I want to get this done here, I want to get this done, I want to get this done. So if we're waiting on city to have the money or budgeting, or city staff, or where they have it in their scheduling, is there a way maybe we can say, hey, let's spend a little bit less money next year on certain items like advertising or marketing or brochures or banners, and let's devote the taxpayer money we get to these certain items? Because it's a hard process, and I understand it and I get it, but people want results, and especially west of Swindon. That's my biggest thing. The tennis center is beautiful, everything we have there. The whole area is changing. Northwest 3rd, the new townhouses near the church, it's all changing. West Settlers Village, I mean, every house that's sold, there's a dumpster in front of it. So it's an amazing area, and it's becoming so interesting to watch this all happen. But then I feel like our little Atlantic Avenue west of Swinton is neglected. It's like, what's going on here? What can we
Can I
do to
say
help
something
that?
to that? A few years ago, I sat through so many CRA meetings, just like I sat through all the DDA meetings. I was basically ping-ponging between the two. And they're investing, back then, I think the number was $40 million in developing a new sports complex for Pompey Park. They were spending money to create a container mini mall on West Atlantic. And here we sit, and not a shovel has been put in the ground. And I sat through all those meetings with high hopes and expectations and just joyful glee that some newness was coming and some investment was being made into a much needed neighborhood and environment.
And you're frustrated.
And I sit there and I wait. And I sit there and wait. And I know that people think that, oh, here comes Vera, she's got some more problems. But I didn't create the problems. You created the promise, so I'm just following up. So when you create a promise, I follow up because my role is to be accountable to people, and I'm trying to be accountable and hold you accountable. So I don't create the problem, you create the promise. And so I follow up with you to find out where things are. And when I don't hear things or someone's got sketchy information that kind of skirts the issue, I start to wonder, what do we waste money for, having all of these consultants, having all of these meetings, creating new budget outlines, and then nothing happens. So we need to stop over-promising and under-delivering. And hopefully, I know there's a lot of people watching this because I see them in the streets when I'm walking. They're like, I heard you. I'm like, thank you. Maybe not thank you. But but I think that that's where the issue is that we've been waiting a long time for these developments to happen. And it's not the Downtown Development Authority's problem. They're just trying to make sure that we keep everybody focused on the promise to deliver the results.
And sometimes people just associate it
Correct.
as their problem.
Correct.
Or they're not doing it. That's what's not fair.
Yeah. Well, I think that, and I hear of that, your point about West Atlantic, but it comes back down to really beginning what we talked about is like, where are the recommendations, plans, those are things. And this board, like, okay, get it. Like, how do we work with the city commission? Recommending, like, that's a priority for us. What's going on with the 600, 700, 800
But
blocks?
they had renderings.
What are those? I mean, again,
Yes, that's not-
I've had meetings separately, as in my role with, what can we do more of? When is the container project coming? How do we? It's time. It's going to happen,
Well,
but it just takes
Once again,
time.
our commission creates policy. Our
Right.
city staff enforces policy. So, people would like to go to the commission and say, you're not getting this done. That doesn't sometimes fall on the commission. That's internally with city management and staff. So it's unless you're educated and you share in it or work with it, you don't understand it. And that's what really bothers me because, like I said, I'm on lightning speed, but I also understand there's budget restraints there. You
Right.
just can't go and do the things. You can't take the risk. So how do we take something like West Atlantic and show people, hey, we're as a board trying to make a change for the better. I have a totally different outlook the way things should be maintained than most people, and
Right.
I'm a little bit OCD.
No,
So
and I think those are things like, again, back to what can the DDA do? What can we as an organization do to make an impact? And that's where, the lighting and the banners, those things are small, but they do show
they're
that
big.
there's something,
They're
they
big.
make the
They're big.
ambiance. So one of the things we're bringing to you is that recommendation for Fifth Avenue and for Atlantic Avenue. Right now, the twinkle lights, or the decorative lighting is old and dim. So bringing new forward to you all for your review, and lightening up Northwest Fifth Avenue, because that is a dark street. But adding those things and that lighting brings attention. When we did Art and Jazz in February on West Atlantic, people were there they felt like for the first time, looking at it for the first time, saying, oh my God, this place is beautiful. How come I've never seen it? And they just saw it differently, from a different perspective. And that is really how, we started on, east of Swinton when we had Art and Jazz That's how Butch Johnson opened up 32 East, by coming here looking, wow, this place is really cute. I think I want to open up a restaurant here. And he did. 20 years later, it was a successful restaurant. So that's what we can do as an organization. And I think that's where I think it's just important to keep track of that and keep what can we do as the DDA to help our partner, the city, in making it a successful place. So thank you.
I feel this has been a fruitful discussion for everyone. We're not voting on anything at this point. This is just a workshop. This is just a discussion in the light. I'm not sure if there's anything else to discuss at this point.
Does everyone share like the same opinion?
Well, I was gonna ask for, just based on old school, not to go back into what we need to do as a DDA, just could we add to the agenda for our next meeting to plan a date to get a workshop with the commission so we don't wait on this?
That would be great.
We have it?
Yeah, I mean, she has that direction.
I can take out
Yeah,
that.
she can take direction. We just
and I
can't
can-
vote on policy.
No,
can
I'm not
review-
asking to vote. I'm just asking, can we set
face-to-face.
to add it? So we can have the
Yes.
workshop to kind of move forward on that?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to add the fluidity of payments to that list too, Laura, that for the money from the city, that when it is provided to you, that there is some fluidity so that you can make better plans in terms of hiring and understanding where your budgets are. Thank you.
But there's also money from the CRA, correct, for the maintenance of Old School Square?
There's money in the current, from what I understand, money in the current this current fiscal year to go towards the campus for lighting and some other grounds improvements. So we're planning some meetings. I can hopefully bring an update to you all at the next meeting.
Yeah, that'd be
Or
great.
before.
Good.
If I get
Yeah.
information, I can email it to you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So in a
Quentin,
perfect
what's-
world for Old School Square, do you have like a punch list of things, if you had a magical wand to wave to fix tomorrow, what they would be? Like, hey, let's hold off on lighting, but we really need shrubbery and landscaping, or hold off on.
There's a punch list inside the plan.
Yeah. So like, is
Yeah,
there like
right
a
now I would like,
priority for you, like your top 5 or top 10?
That with paint, lighting fixtures. I think the grounds in front of the amphitheater, but it's just wear and tear. But there's definitely some rework that should be done to help regrading, as well as landscaping around the vintage gym. We've brought up landscaping around the museum, really upgrading some of that.
So there's always going to be X dollars, but Y projects. So that's why I'm saying, like, if you have an amount
Signage.
you have, what's the most important?
Well, you got the, let me say this loud so Jeff can hear it. You got the, hi Jeff, you got the parking lot cleaned up a bit, so that was, somewhat of a feat.
It's, we're going into rainy season. It's the grounds definitely, drainage there is not great at all. So I know that the public work team, the facilities team does a great job, but there's just stuff that will take it out of commission for a while of use to fix. So those are things we have to take into consideration. If we want to fix the problem, we can't do things there for a certain amount of time. So I think those are things that we'll have to look at and plan for, such as, when our tree, the Christmas tree gets assembled, and then when it gets taken down, and then we have to resod. Those are things that we have in the plan right now, so we don't book anything during that time. But that's the only thing we have earmarked. We need to redo the floors in the vintage gym. That's a $20,000+ bill. So when do we do that? And who does that? Is that us? So those are those questions and there's some fixtures there.
Those floors.
Yeah, it should be done now since we're going into 100 years old, right? So that's a want and a desire to do, and I would want to put that on the list if we could. So, along with just some upgrades in that facility, it's looking a little tired. So.
I just say make sure all that stuff's inside I'm looking at some of the things in our plan, but you mentioned a couple that were not. Let's just make sure we get them in
I
here
will.
too.
Yep.
Just because it's always good to have, again, he pulled it out, but I want to make sure.
What's interesting is a lot of people that came into the gym just thought it was so nostalgic and beautiful that they didn't want anything fixed in there. They liked the look of it. It's so
Yeah.
interesting that we say, oh no, this needs to be upgraded, but the people that came in there looked up and thought, oh, this is beautiful, you know. So
Well, it's like
you
the
like
little
that.
things, just the,
Yeah.
you know, the wallpaper in the bathrooms chipped off, just little stuff, but it's aesthetics, right? That's not nostalgic, really. So, but for next steps, I hear from you all that moving forward, the next step would really setting a date with the workshop for the commission around the future for Old School Square. Right?
I think that sounds good.
Great.
That's all I was going to say. She can go for it now and try to get that date set. It's probably going to be on the day of a city commission meeting. It's usually how those things works out. So just keep that in your back pocket.
Their goal setting is May 3rd, just so you know. Yeah.
Well, that takes a lot too of time from them. So it's like you don't want to do brain damage on top of brain. You know, like goal like that's a meeting in itself. I don't know if I'll try to jump
No,
on
I'm
that
just saying
one.
they're
Yeah.
talking for the next year. That's
Yeah.
the goal setting.
What
so
day's the goal setting?
May 3rd, Friday, May 3rd.
Great. Well, it's April now, so yeah, it'd be great again if we could have it before then. But whatever, it's going to be on their schedule.
Yeah, they
you
just
know.
set their date, so we'll get.
I mean, you know, but
yeah,
again,
we're a little more flexible.
We'll get some
than
of
they
their
are.
goal setting. Maybe they'll cover some of the stuff in their goal setting, so that'd be great too. And you'll keep us
I will.
abreast as our liaison and doing the things that you do as a DDA.
Yes.
So appreciate.
For sure.
Should we give you, there's parts of May that I won't be here.
I don't think you're on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, there's parts of May that I won't be here.
Suggest that you not do that publicly?
No, I'm not. I'm just
Oh,
saying,
okay.
should I give it to you so that?
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wait.
Well, I'll go get the few dates. I'll start on my end first, and then I'll
Because
reach
if
back
I'm
out
not
to you.
here, then everything's going to go amok. I know. When I leave town, all of a sudden everyone loses their mind.
We'll make sure you're here.
That's
Vero.
not why I was suggesting not to do that. It was for other.
Yeah. All right.
All right, awesome. Thank you all for
All
your
right, with
time and your
that,
attention, for sure.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Oh, can I get a motion?